Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Rituraj, you are
Yeah,
hearing me?
yeah, hearing sir.
Okay,
Hello
very good.
everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to the today's webinar. I Rituraj, founder and publisher of Burney's Law Journal, and today we have renowned advocate of Supreme Court, Mr. Vivek Narayan Sharma sir. He has experience of 22 years in Supreme Court of India. So before starting this interview, please tell us
Mhm.
something about yourself and about your background.
See, we will leave it to the you for that matter. I started around more than 20 years back in practice. My senior used to be Mr. Dipankar P. Gupta. He used to be then Solicitor General of India, and with that chamber, I started practice in Supreme Court, and thereafter I joined some lawyers in High Court and Trial Court, and then a law firm, and then I became independent around 15 years back. So that's how the journey had been, and then we have been doing a lot of matters. Apart from that, the commercial matters that we deal, commercial, corporate, criminal matters that we deal, we do a lot of pro bono work also. We do not charge any fee in those pro bono work. Rather, we spend from our own pockets for that. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this has
So
been
the next,
so. The journey had been this much, and then if
okay,
you have something in your mind, then you can ask.
sure. So the next question I want to ask: what would make a law student, a good trial advocate?
Of course, preparation. With regard to the trial advocate, procedure is very important. So one should be ready if they are in criminal trial or civil trial, either way, and that's why specialization is important for the trial advocate. Though it may not be very important for an advocate practicing in Supreme Court, but specialization in trial court is very important because the procedures are different in trial court for criminal matters and civil matters. Civil matters have a lot of nitty-gritties, lot of pointers with regard to the procedure. On the contrary, as regards criminal matters, there are less number of nitty-gritties, but at the same time, these are equally very important. So trial is something which has to be conducted with a finesse for a client. If any lacuna is left at the trial advocate at the trial level, then it cannot be corrected even at High Court or Supreme Court level. You know why? Because the evidence is taken on record at the trial court level. Any misjudgment made by the advocate is going to hurt the client's prospectus in even in the rightful matter in High Court and Supreme Court. So therefore, for a trial advocate, it is very, very important that they should be thorough with the procedure. And of course, the basic knowledge of law is very important at the same time, and that you cherish by way of reading judgments constantly. Because it is a fluidic situation. Law, it keeps on changing. Something which you read last year, it may change today. So you should be no, you should be clear about what the law is today.
Thanks, sir, for your valuable words. So the next question is: what are the necessary things which lawyers should avoid and adopt in first 5 years?
Hmm. Lawyers should adopt in first 5 years. See what happens when we join the profession. We always means anywhere we start working. Then the first requirement or that people feel are twofold. Number one, the money that comes along with the kind of work the person does, and then second is fame. So both these things should be given a go by in the first 5 years at all. One should not think of the money, one should not think of the fame at all. Because if you are concentrating on money and fame in the first 5 years of your profession, then your foundation will become weaker. Because you would be always doing work, not because we are in a profession, and profession is known for doing the work for the society. While we charge money, at the same time, conventionally, if we see, there is a gown that we wear and there is a pocket behind that gown. So, as per conventions, lawyers never used to ask for fees at all in those conventional time in the olden period, and it was the client's wish, willingness as to how much he would like to pay, and the lawyer will not even ask for it. So that's where we are attached with this profession. But at the same time, with the time changing, the requirements and the number of people joining the profession has changed. So the understanding that point also, it is very important that you should look for developing yourself as being a good lawyer instead of looking for fame or money in the beginning period. Of course, you need sustenance, you need to survive, you need to struggle. So these three things are very important. If you are not struggling, you're not able to survive, then you are not going to become a good lawyer.
Thank you so much, sir. So the next question I want to ask: how is legal sector being affected by COVID-19, and what will be the future impact on it?
See, we know all about it. At present, no court hearings are taking place except for urgent matters, and that also through video conferencing or through like the medium Zoom. Earlier, it was the Zoom medium. Now, there have been a lot of controversy with regard to the Zoom application. So, many of such mediums have been taken from official records and then Hangout and Google Meet. So there are various ways that the courts are holding the uh, urgent hearing matters. But largely, as the period is affected, and till now the lockdown is continuing in red zones, and then green zones have been opened up for the limited 12 hours purposes, and then for the rest of the 12 hours from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. everything will be closed down. So uh, as it appears, the litigation area will be affected, and it will be affected for another month or two in such scenario. And it would vastly depend on what kind of number of cases that are coming in picture, because day by day they are increasing. Yesterday there were 2600 plus cases. Day before yesterday there were 2400 plus cases. 2 days before that it was 2300, and for 3 days before it was 1800, 1900. So that means that graph is increasing day by day. So if that graph keep on increasing, and while at the same time the government has to think about the settling of economy also, because all the economic activities have closed down. So the moment economic activities will start, so the building up of court cases will also come in vogue, because court cases are the result of the action taking in society. So the if the society is not taking an action, then in that case the court cases would go down very heavily. But when the action is started on economic front in the society, then in that case the court cases will also start taking place. And one of the big force that is coming in these days for discussion is force majeure. And people are means a lot of people are confused about what is force majeure, whether they can take benefit of this or not, what are the laws relating to that. So those kind of things are going to affect parties and both the sides, so the litigation may increase in the coming time.
Thank you, sir. So the next question I want to ask: how lawyer and law students should plan their career ahead in light of COVID-19? What the plan should be made by the law students and the future
See, I can tell you, means
young
as I
ones?
took the initial months, means today is 41st day of lockdown. So the when the lockdown was announced, so I immediately took the call and I decided that I will treat this period for me as a vacation period. Like the vacation had to happen in between May to June. So I decided, okay, I'll treat myself as if we are in the vacation time period, and therefore the entire family that I have, the entire family went into that vacation mode. The vacation had to be at home only. We were totally following the lockdown. We did not step out at all from the house. And we were just doing the activities which were to take place in the vacation time. So we were reading in the morning time, we were means working out together. During afternoon time we were reading, during evening time there is a TV time that we are binging together. So things like this, so we just treated as ourselves like this. And now May has started, and now some economic activities would be started, and already around 1.5 months have passed. So therefore now I have to rise from that vacation period, and so many other people would also rise, because in the coming time a lot of influx of opinions and some court cases that we may require to file may happen. And all this is going to be going to happen by way of e-filing, and not by way of physical filing in the present scenario. So we are preparing ourselves for that matter if suppose we are required. So my teams are ready for that purpose. If we have to file cases, then we are ready for that. At the same time, what a person can do means, this is what I did means, I used to study during the afternoon time, any subject, not confining myself to only law subjects. So the one may always involve himself into so many diversified activities. Reading is one of the options at such a time, and reading is another wonderful option. And today, if you cannot buy a book, go to a bookstore. It does not mean that you are restricted. So therefore, you can go to Kindle, or means you can, even Kindle can be downloaded on your mobile phone. There are various applications where books are available. So start reading. If you are becoming to be a lawyer, you are going to be a lawyer, or you are already a lawyer, it always helps to have the knowledge and detailed uh, structures of diversified areas of life. So the more you read, you may read philosophy, you may read history, you may read geography. Means there are many things that you can really involve yourself, and that will really, it will not go in vain. It will all help you in your future perspective. You never know what kind of case you are going to handle, and that knowledge can come handy to you. So it so happens always. So prepare for the virtues, develop those virtues, and it will help you all at such a time.
Thanks, sir. So the next question is, how makes career in litigation in a small city?
Oh, it's a difficult question to answer, because I could not make my career in from a small city, though I belong from Meerut. I do not know whether people treat it as a small city or a large city, but yeah, it has been a decent city. My entire education took place in Meerut. I was born and brought up there. So coming from Meerut, while I was doing my law from there only, and uh, I decided to do the internship in the uh, uh, first year of law. I just thought, okay, let me just see how the courts are functioning there. So my father took an appointment with one of the known lawyer in the Meerut, and then he gave me the time to meet him. And I went into the Meerut court, and largely known as Kacheri. So when I went there, and I just walked through the insides of the Kacheri, and by the time I reached the door of that senior lawyer, I had made up my mind that I will never practice here. So I did not meet that guy. I did not go to meet him at all. I came back. My father asked me what happened. I said, no, I cannot practice in Meerut, so I'm so sorry. Means I will not practice here at all. I'll not do any internship also at this place. So I decided to skip that idea. So I cannot say because people have speed in their mind. I have a particular speed of work. I have a particular way of thinking, and so therefore that desisted me from joining any chamber or doing any practice in Meerut. So I cannot really point out very well as to the how the practice should be taken place in small cities. But yeah, one thing is for sure, to my experience, which I have garnered over the years, hearing, because people from different places have come to me from trial courts, from high courts. So the big thing that I have means, one suggestion I have for the people who are practicing there, it is very important at trial court level, you need to know the procedure, of course, but at the same time you should be abreast with the law also. At these places, at small places, people are less concerned about knowing the law, what Supreme Court is passing. So if that kind of endeavor they can make, to know every day, reading couple of judgments from Supreme Court. Those are easily available online on various media, even on Supreme Court website. This is free of cost. So there is no issue. One can really go through certain judgments and every day. If that kind of habit is developed, then of course it is going to benefit clients immensely. With the right kind of knowledge and right kind of perspective that you develop by way of that knowledge you gain from reading judgments, it can really help the clients, and it can also mitigate the speed of the trial. Because when you know the law, when you know the procedure, nothing can stop you. You are not confused. You know what you have to do. When the confusion comes, then you try to delay the proceedings. And why there is so much of delay in the trial courts in India? This is the precise reason that I think. The other reason would be that clients pay to delay, and lawyers accept that payment to delay. So this is a moral responsibility. This is a moral requirement to adhere to, that we should not try to delay the proceeding unnecessarily. Take money, take fee for doing the right work.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, how do you think technology made lawyering is more convenient?
See, I have been using technology since 2001 or two, as I remember. Means when people were looking in the books for finding judgments, I had started looking into the Manupatra. By then, I had already bought a couple of keys from the Manupatra. I had paid hefty amount for those keys to Manupatra. So this is how we do the. I have been using technology. It used to save me time. I started looking for my fitness when I had time. uh, I used to have device way my way to research, do the research work in a particular manner, which used to save a lot of time for me. And it also used to give me insight knowledge of so many other aspects of law. Because while you are looking at a book, you are just confined to that judgment that you are reading. And while with the keyword you are searching for a judgment, you go through so many judgments to understand whether it is applicable in your case or not. So by way of that process, you learn so many things in between also. So there are so many things that help you by way of technology. So I used to create my work life balance better than anybody else in there. And of course, that really helped me to be a fit lawyer at the same time. So using technology definitely helps, and in the coming time, this technology is going to help people in a different manner. Because till now we have been conventionally seeing that the filing and arguments are taking place in the court in a physical manner. So with the COVID thing, I do see that in coming 2 years' time, much of the filings would be done of the means much of the filing would be done through e-filing. Though the proposal had been long way for last 7-8 years, even Supreme Court was preparing, several committees were made, various high courts had also prepared, made certain committees. But at the same time, nothing had really evolved the way it is going to evolve in the coming 2 years now. So that's one part, filing through the e-ways, and then arguments through this social this Zoom or uh, the Google devices and all. So this is going to immensely help people, because they are not required to be physically present in one court or in 10 courts. So by sitting at one place, you can devise your time accordingly, and do the hearing and do the argument in different courts.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, what one things have you done for which you are proudest of?
um, I do not think on that line at all. I never think on proud. मेरे पास ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं सोचने
But
के लिए. I always feel proud on the other's deed, not on my own deed.
okay, that's fine.
Huh?
How one can no issues, sir. We'll skip that questions. Uh, how one can collect evidence? I mean, the way what should do a young lawyer to collect evidence? And
Lawyer's role is not to collect evidence. If you are conventionally saying that collecting evidence is the role of the authorities, we do not collect. We can ask the evidence that the client has with regard to, if suppose you are filing a suit or a criminal case you have filed, you need to back your facts with the supporting evidence. So, though that supporting evidence has to be clinching if you want a really very build up a very good case. If suppose you do not have a clinching evidence, clinching means bilkul totally clear evidence, which has the effect of means which has the effect of having only one interpretation. So that becomes very important to in any trial. Evidence has to be unequivocally acceptable. If suppose it is not that way, I mean, which we say primary evidence. So if it is not primary, then you go on the secondary evidences, and then you have to prove your case. And in criminal trial means, of course, beyond reasonable doubt, and in civil trial, probabilities has to be satisfied in favor of your client.
Thank you, sir. So the next questions I want to
Mhm.
ask: Can you please share with us some recent examples of when you
Mhm.
were under stress and how you coped up?
See, stress
Some
is
recent
always
example.
it's stress. Okay, I understand your question. Stress is something which we cannot avoid. Stress is what? Stress is something which you get from a situation when the situation is not conforming to your own norms or your own requirements or your own caliber. When it goes to your own norm, requirement, and caliber, then it may provide stress to you. So then, whenever it so happens, there is a happy mind, there is a sad mind. Both will reflect on that given situation in a different manner. So it is about keeping the equilibrium of thought process, keeping the equilibrium of your body and mind uh, together, so that you could deal with those stressful situations in a winning way. So there are ways, means you can be stressful and you can abuse others. There is a way that you can be stressful and you can be silent. There is a way that you can be stressful and you think of the solution of a problem that is giving you the stress. So there are various ways to deal with the situation. So it is about your outlook, how you are going to look at the situation, and how do you really believe it. So sometimes you really need to look for the solution. Sometimes you just need to sit ideally because your thinking of solution will not make any difference to the situation. Maybe it is time bound situation where the time has not come for you to actually take action or react. So it depends on situation to situation how you have to. So the central idea would be that one should always keep this equilibrium along with the oneself. And how do you set up the equilibrium of your mind and body? It is a different question. For that, of course, for your mind, you can do meditation. It immensely help. I had been doing for last 25, 30 years around. During my college time, I started my meditation, and it really helps. And once you are accustomed and you are doing the meditation rightly, then in that case it will keep you away from the stress situations. The situations will come, but they will not give you stress. You will take them as a problem, and all the problems require certain solutions. So you may try to find those solutions. If you are not able to find, just keep on pondering on the solutions.
So the next question, thank you, sir. Next question I want to ask: What would you like to say to the young students from less privileged background?
Hmm.
What would you like to say to the young students from less privileged background?
Okay. See, the I am the right example before all of you. No, was not having any privileged background, was not having any silver spoon in my house, and I had to build up myself from the very scratch. So the always believe in yourself. At the same time, just believing is not good enough. You have to be clear about your vision. The visions are certain kinds of vision. There are certain kinds of vision, like there is a short term vision, there is a long term vision, there is a day to day running vision that you create for yourself. So there has to be various layers of vision that you should create, so that you could work on all together, on all of them all together, and you could assess yourself, make the right kind of assessment. If you are able to make the right kind of assessment of your own personality, your own self, your own strengths and weaknesses, this is very important. So then these analysis will help you in attaining that vision, and also before attaining, in formulating that vision. Because you may think of reaching the moon, but at the same time you do not know how to fly the rocket. Then how would you reach the moon? So it is very important, as per what you are, you build up a vision and then start working on achieving it. So it's a day to day introspection that you have. And at the same time, always believe in honesty. If you believe in honesty, that will create a positive aura around you, that will help you in building up your career. People will respect you. Honesty automatically brings the respect from people to for you. And one more point which I always say is this, that always believe in helping others. So whenever you are helping somebody else, it will always help you in return. And do not help because you want and help in return. Help anybody and then just forget about it. You will have that happiness by way of helping others. That happiness will remain with you, that will give you positive energy. So always try to create a positive energy pool of positive energy surrounding you, which will help you in creating good work. And this is what we are made for. Whatever we do, we should do the best. So doing good work is the requirement that we should always do.
I read about you, sir. You have worked with many NGO for many NGOs and foundation free of cost. You helped them lot in Delhi and all.
Mhm.
So please tell us something about that. Uh, you worked for them, the foundation and
Yeah,
NGOs and all.
we had been doing a lot of pro bono
Sports
work, and
association.
we had been doing a lot of pro bono work. But I will tell you, it all started when I was in class 11. Back in time, to conventionally in our houses, there was a provision that whenever our birthdays are there, and in that case, if during the birthdays, we used to give food to the needy. So this time, my father asked me, okay, it means we are going to deliver food to the Anath ashram that was there in the vicinity, somewhere around 2 kilometers away from our house. So when we went to this Anath ashram, and that was situated somewhere where more than 100 children were there, ranging from the age of 5 years to 15 years. So the when we were distributing food to them, and in the food, maybe conventionally, if we look at the food there, so in Meerut, there, it is famous for jalebi, kachori, and various other food items which are very fondly eaten by the people. And with the same thought, from the we were delivered those that kind of food to them. But somehow I felt that they are not enjoying eating the food. When I saw this, I tried to ask them, but somehow I did not get any answer. The warden of the hostel was not allowing them to answer. Also, I asked the warden also; he did not respond to me. So therefore, I asked him that I asked my father that I want to visit the inside of the premises, जहाँ पर ये लोग बच्चे रहते हैं. तो वार्डन said कि नहीं नहीं हम लोग अलाउ नहीं करते किसी को बाहर जाने से आने के लिए. So ultimately, then I asked my father to take because my Mr. जो कमिश्नर थे मेरठ के, वो पापा के जानकार थे. उन्होंने उनके ऑफिस में बात करी, उन्होंने उनको वार्डन को बोला, तो वार्डन ने मेरे को अंदर जाने के लिए अलाउ किया. So the moment I entered into their houses, there were dormitories, various kinds of dormitories made, and 10, maybe 12 to 20 children living in one dormitory. So they had no religion. Most of them had no religion. There were all sort of the gods on the walls. And then I asked them, one of the small kid, I asked, what had happened to you? Why were you not enjoying the food? तो उसने कहा कि भैया हम तो रोज यही खाते हैं। तो जहाँ हम लोग मेरठ में जलेबी कचौरियाँ महीने में 1 बार या 2 महीने में 1-2 बार मुश्किल से खाते होंगे, तो उनको खाने में रोज़ ही कचौरियाँ मिलती थी। तो उसने बोला कि हमें फिर रात में पेट में दर्द होता है और पेट में दर्द होने पर हमें ना वार्डन दवाई भी नहीं देता है। So that was the plight of those people. Many of those people, off and on, they were having this kind of problem, but they were not having any aid at all from the warden. And warden was strict and misbehaving warden. You can understand that somebody person who has been given power over 100 people or 100 children, how they were utilizing them. So this warden was no less, and he was not properly behaving with them. So therefore, once I heard over it, and then I talked to several other children, and then they were also talking like that. And I was also myself a children. I was in class 11 only. So once this has happened, then I went back to home. Then I asked my father that I want to visit the hostel again and again on the weekend. So he made an arrangement for me. So the next time when I went to, it was a Sunday. So during the Sunday time period, then they were playing, and when they were playing, so there was only one football, and all the children were just thinking that they may play with that one football, but the kids who were larger in their skeleton, they had the control over football. So the other children were just sitting aside. So I observed this situation. So somehow means I had been taking a tuition in the neighboring area, and from in the class 11th, I had my first turning of my life. So as I was taking tuition and I was getting money, so I did not have to ask my father. I asked, I just took that money and then bought a couple of footballs for them. And then I kept on going there. And then within 5-6 months, I changed the scene there. I asked the warden, and then warden had to do it because the reference was commissioner, and I was close to commissioner and IG of the Meerut. Means my father was, they were very good friend of my father. So therefore we changed the system there to the extent that no तला हुआ खाना जो भी जलेबी कचौरी ये सब नहीं आएगा वहां पे, जिसको जो भी अगर कोई डोनेट करना है तो दे विल ऑल डोनेट ओनली द रॉ फूड लाइक आटा चावल सब्जी जो भी कुछ देना है वो सब कच्चा ही देंगे ताकि वो खाना वहीं पर बने एंड ताकि उनकी सेहत भी बनी रहे। एंड आई ऑल्सो द समहाउ वर्क विद द वार्डन की अगर किसी बच्चे को परेशानी होती है तो उसकी केयर करी जाए। So this was the extent, and फिर वहाँ से I just kept attached with them for 3-4 years. फिर once I came out of the Meerut for doing various other things. So that's where I mean, but we stayed connected for several years thereafter. And that's where I thought ki means of course I have to just continue doing this social help, and it is something. Let me tell you one thing. My analogy to the social help is this: whatever happiness it generate, it never goes. आपकी जो ड्रीम है वो आप अचीव कर लोगे तो वो ड्रीम जब फॉल होता है, एनीथिंग यू अचीव material in the material world will is liable to go. So the moment it goes from your hand, you will feel sad. But when you help other, the happiness which comes to your pocket, it will never go from you, because that other person who has taken help has gone. The idea that you help, that pleasure will always remain with you. So that's where I always say, if you want to have the true happiness comes by helping others. And always, whenever you get a chance to take that chance as an opportunity that God has given you, always help others.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks. So the next question is, how one can enhance his
Sorry,
writing
I'm not
and
getting your
research
voice
skill?
clearly. Sorry.
Sir, I want to ask how one
Uh,
research research
it is
and
not
writing
coming
skill.
clearly. Hmm. How one
Sir,
can hone up,
no, enhance.
hone up and enhance the
Yes,
writing skills
yes,
and research skills.
yes.
See, practice makes the man perfect. It's an old proverb. Of course, means when you keep on writing, then you refine yourself, and there is no other way except refining yourself, doing the right kind of work. But before the writing, you should know the content. what you're going to write. So therefore, then it is becomes very important that you should also know how to research. So research is, if you are doing the legal research, then of course, for a judgment, keywords are important. You should know the right keyword so that you could, in very short period of time, find the right kind of judgments, and that will come with, again, with practice. If you suppose were told to search on a judgment with regard to pertaining any particular law or particular aspect, then it will make you, it will create difficulty for you. It will take a lot of time. But when you are keep doing it repeatedly, so therefore the time taken over the period will be lesser, because you have already practiced, you know what kind of keyword has to be there. So with regard to judgment research, knowing the right kind of keywords is very important, so that you could jump on the right kind of judgments. And that will come with practice. Do research every day. Maybe if suppose you are not having anything, then in that case, artificially find out from the newspaper what you have to research. Any topic you can choose, and you can do the research work artificially, so that whenever the time comes, it becomes handy for you, and you are quick and prompt. And then there is a general research, that subject wise research that you are making for writing a book, or writing an article. So of course, then you should know that what kind of idea that you have built up, on what you want to write, what kind of conclusion you want to draw, so that you could just work on the discovery of those right kind of facts. So when I write, I just decide the starting and end. When I wrote my book, I had already created chapters in my book. Okay, these are the tangents, these are the chapters that my book will have. So with those kind of chapters, what kind of content I need, I did that research on that, and I wrote that fiction work also pertaining to that when I was writing. So that also helped me in developing what kind of research work I would require constantly. So there are various ways and methods for doing research work, and similarly for writing. Fortunately for me, I had been a good draftsman, in the sense that even Supreme Court judges has appreciated my drafting in the open court so many times, and I had scored means very good marks in drafting paper also during the time when the AOR exam. I had cleared the AOR exam. So the drafting is a skill. It can be sharpened with the passage of time, but of course somewhere you need to sit down to start writing. So like somebody is an artist, so similar is true for drafting and arguing counsel. So not everybody can become an arguing counsel, not everybody can draft very well. So you need some specific skills for that. So you need to develop and what is that you need to develop? You need to develop the objectivity in your process and thought. You need to develop that objectivity with regard to the understanding of the basic situation. When you do not put yourself into that situation, rather just look at the situation the way it is. I mean to say, when you wear the red goggle and look at the sky becomes a little, instead of blue, it becomes a reddish. So we should not give our own perception to a situation. Rather, look at the situation without giving any perception that we have, free of any goggle, free of any color. And once we are able to perceive the situation as it is, thereafter we can really make the right assessment of the situation and make the correct drafting also.
Thanks, sir. So the next question I want to ask, what are the differences between advocate and advocate on record, and what is the role of joint secretary of AR association?
Uh, this is something means advocate. All are advocates. Advocates is a bigger domain, and advocate on record uh, are those people who pass the exam of advocate on record conducted by Supreme Court. Advocate on record are the only persons authorized for filing in the Supreme Court. If you have to file anything to represent the client, but then they can be assisted by advocates, and they can be, they can assist the senior advocates. So that's the only difference, and nothing much. Of course, the exam is there, so many people take up. Some pass, some fail, and over the years. And what was your next question in this?
role of advocate on secretary of joint secretary of AR Association.
See, joint secretary as an association means if we have to look at this, there are two associations Supreme Court. The one is Supreme Court Bar Association, the other is Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association. Supreme Court Advocates on as a Record of Association is essentially a subset of SCBA. It is only the specialized body which is catering to the need of advocates on record practicing in Supreme Court, their day-to-day problems with the registry, filings, court occurrences, court happenings. So the various things are there to the, and apart from that, looking forward, if there is a requirement of change in law, change in procedure, filing, or various other procedures at Supreme Court, then the body takes initiative and takes and defines that process. So that body is for that purpose, and it has been invoked for the last 30 years, and so many people had been part of the committee. I had been fortunately being part of the committee. So we had done a lot of work together. Then we initiated some new things also, that those people who are aspiring to become advocate on record, we started initiating lecture series for them. So for 2 years continuously, we had lecture series for them from judges and senior advocates, so that it can help them to understand how to pass the advocate on record examination being conducted by Supreme Court. Then we also organized this national conference at Vigyan Bhavan, which was one of its own first kind of national conference, attended by more than 2,000 people, and all the judges of Supreme Court, President of India, various other High Court, they had all participated in that conference. So there had been a lot of activities for the welfare of the lawyer fraternity, for the academicians, and then law students we are doing. We had also initiated the e-journal, in which we published the articles written by the uh, various lawyers of Supreme Court. So this is these associations, the essential role is to benefit the practitioners, those who are part of the associations, and at the same time also benefit the process that is involved in the legal practice.
Thank you, sir. So, what are the roles of bar association? You said they are both different bodies. Then,
Hmm.
role of bar association.
No, the Supreme Court Bar Association is essentially, as I told you, to be an advocate on record. To be the member of an advocate on record association, one has to be essentially a member of SCB also. So it is an important thing. So it is a subset. Bar Association, Supreme Court Bar Association is a superset, which contains advocates, advocate on record, and senior advocate as its member. So when I was not advocate on record, being an advocate, I was the member of Supreme Court Bar Association. So I'm still a member of Supreme Court Bar Association, and additionally, I'm a member of Supreme Court AOR Association after becoming AOR. So the role of Supreme Court Bar Association is vast there. All the infrastructure, all the court infrastructure is mostly around 85% of the infrastructure within the control and bounds of Supreme Court Bar Association, except all and 15% is with the SCORA Association, and then uh, uh, most of the area is though under the control of Supreme Court. So the remaining area which has been given for the use of chamber and other areas is being supervised by the Supreme Court Bar Association. Then a lot of welfare activities are carried on by SCBA as well, and all the chamber, how the chamber has to be given, all those ideas. Both the association participate in that thing together. So there are so many things for the benefit of lawyers, again for their benefit, for their welfare. These associations are working, and uh, maintaining the car parking, where to park the car inside the premises, is issuing the stickers of car, is also the role of SCBA, Supreme Court Bar Association. So there had been so many roles that they are performing.
So now I will unmute those who have a question. They can raise their hand. So that I can unmute him or her to ask the
Okay.
questions. If anybody have, please raise their hand. One, yes. Let me mute Ayush. Ayush, please ask your question, Ayush.
Good afternoon. My name is Ayush. So my question to sir was that today litigation has become costly and people mostly refer to arbitration and other procedures for settlement or ADR.
Mhm,
So how do
mhm.
you see the future in litigation ahead?
See, litigation is costly. There's no doubt. ADR arbitration is a secondary leg, but prior to that, arbitration mediation is another aspect which is not developed properly in India. Though mediation and arbitration are taken in the same connotation, but at the same time, mediation is a different process. So the mediation is very cost effective, but at the same time, parties do not really adhere to or go for mediation too much in very means in matrimonial cases but not in commercial sector. Mediation is come in vogue. So once the mediation comes in vogue, it will be very much cost effective, and it will immensely benefit. And definitely post that means if the parties are at warring stage, then they, at arbitration they have to lead the evidence, they have to do the case like they are fighting in the court only. But then their pros and cons of arbitration as well. The cost effectiveness is not so much. So I had been myself conducting so many arbitrations, but at the same time, if I look at the cost that my parties are bearing at arbitration, is much higher than the litigation itself. So the mediation can be quite helpful, and I think mediation will develop in coming time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay. So the next, I'm going to unmute Mayank Lal. So Mayank, please ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir. So
Good
my
afternoon.
question is now the at now what is it the high time that India should draft any legislation regarding the health issues like we are at the present situation we are utilizing the Epidemic Disease Act 1897. That is
Mhm.
the very old law, more than 100 years ago. Now it is the high time that India should focus on drafting any new legislation for future.
See, Epidemic Act is very old, I can understand, but at the same time, then you have Disaster Management Act, which is not very old. But the point is, ki even when the Disaster Management Act, which has been initiated, means very recently, not so much old, not 100-year-old. So, what are we able to address the situation as per the Disaster Management Act itself? Epidemic Act only contains the definition of epidemic and what certain actions, what necessary actions government is required to take at this such time they may declare the epidemic. So therefore, or they can take over the public service, anything, any private property required for the public purpose. So that's one part. So I think that is sufficient for me. But I'm more concerned about the National Disaster Management Act. What does it provide for? And are we satisfied with the way the government or the Disaster Management Authority has done their work? So, but at least I am not satisfied at all. Means the way it had to work means to point out the initial problem that they had. Means the moment the epidemic had started, so we had seen a lot of migration problem, migrants problem all around different corners, big cities. So what were the this authority? What was this authority doing? Did you hear in news that the National Disaster Management Authority or the State Disaster Management Authority performed any role in addressing the problem of migrants or the local people? No, we did not
No,
hear.
sir, not at all.
So ultimately, their role is for that purpose. And means they have been granted so many thousands of crore for the purpose. But where that money is going? Ultimately, we are giving funds to PM Care or Disaster Management Authority, but where that money is going? What is the outcome of that fund? Where has it been spent? And I saw the news that the migrants are being charged for their transport from one city to other city, that they have to pay for travel from train or buses. And what's the fun? We are managing a disaster. So in such a scenario, what kind of actions we have taken? One simple action could have been that all the data of all the NGOs should have been there with the disaster management. because we have today lakhs of NGOs working in India. We have 700 odd districts, 733 to be precise. So we understand that every the district can be assigned 5 to 10 NGOs. So 10 NGOs could have worked in collaboration with disaster management authority to help those locals and to really identify the problems and then redress their problem by way of utilizing the fund. But nothing of that should happen. So there is definitely lacuna. Baki, with regard to Epidemic Act, means it's not, it's just contain the, it's a two-page act, nothing except that okay, what is the epidemic, and then how the, what kind of step government can take. That's fine for me. I hope that satisfies you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Next one is Parth Joshi. Please ask your questions. Parth
Good
Joshi.
afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Sir, I recently came across a report which stated that artificial intelligence is going to change the face of litigation, and over a long period, it might replace many lawyers. So, how do you pursue this?
No, sort of your voice was cutting in between. Could you
Sorry.
repeat?
So,
Your
I
voice is
recently
not
came
coming
across.
properly.
Okay, so I'll
Ah,
repeat my question.
ah.
Recently, I came across an article which stated that artificial intelligence is going to change the face of litigation, and it might
Mhm.
replace many lawyers as well. So, how do you pursue this? I mean, is it really a threat to lawyer profession?
No, I don't see this because we are. You see, you use a smartphone.
Yes, sir, I do.
You know, most of the lawyers use a smartphone,
Yes,
and the litigation, the number of litigation matters are going to increase only with this. After the onset of this COVID, there would be fresh cases of different kind. Those cases which are already pending, they are pending. They have not gone. They are not dead. I'm
right,
sure means you understand this.
right,
So
sir.
we have the litigation of 4 crore pending, and at the same time, by virtue of this COVID, there are going to be corporate transactional issues, force majeure issues between parties, among parties. So a lot of litigation is coming the way of lawyers. Now the next question comes: who is going to be rapidly understand or transform his ways? So
Okay,
if suppose you are conversant in going to court and then arguing before the court, or you do not argue but you take aid of somebody to take arguments, so that's the only thing, that's the only challenge, and how to coordinate that portion.
right, sir.
So once you are able to understand that challenge, you can definitely find out the solution to that also, and that's also not a big deal. If suppose you have to engage me to argue a matter, so then you can engage me, you can brief me, you can send the file over to me through e-ways, through mail, and I can take print at my office, and then we can go through the briefs together. By way of the way we are communicating right now, the similar way we can do that communication, and post that I can argue that matter, and you can be part of the hearing also. So definitely means I don't see that there should be any problem. I think you must be using your mobile for this webinar.
Yes, sir.
I'm using my mobile. So similarly, means most of the people have the this we in India. There are a lot of smartphones. So I don't see, mostly all the lawyers have smartphones. So
Thank you.
it's not gonna trouble you at all.
The next question is from Pranay Singh. He asked, "What helps the lawyer most? Is it social reasonings or logical understanding?"
Sorry, what helps?
Yeah, lawyer most. Is it
Mhm.
social reasoning or logical understanding?
Both.
What help most? Is the questions from Pranay Singh.
It depends on social reasoning. When there is a time for social reasoning, then it may help. And when, of course, logical drawings are always very important. So social reasoning is something which you borrow from the society's societal norms or society's thinking. So sometimes the social reasoning can be contrary to the law itself. So in that time when the social reasoning is contrary to the law of the land or the constitution, then in that case that social reasoning has to be put aside. Otherwise, social reasoning is a good way to understand what is going to be the impact of the judgment or law that has been passed. See, ultimately, when we means on the basis of logical reasoning, when we enact an act of parliament, then in that case we have to see how it is going to be perceived, how it is going to be taken by the society, what kind of ripple effects or what kind of societal norms it will create. So in a scenario like this, if suppose we do not understand that law from the perspective of social reasoning, we are not going to make the good law, make a good law. And while the law is made, once a lawyer has to do the analysis of that law, to challenge that law, or to take support of that law, the social reasoning as contained in the act itself will be helpful, not otherwise. And if suppose there is no social reasoning concerning inside the act, then in that case one has to be only logical. The rules of interpretation would come into play.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Ayush Shah. Uh, yes, Ayush, please ask your question.
So last question from my side. So once Fali Nariman had said that litigation or the strategy of litigation depends upon judge. Like certain judges are persuasive, certain are not. So what is your stand to this? And sir, second question related to that would be, what mindset do you prefer before you start litigating?
See, I always like to observe the little behavior of judge. How does he react? Because sometimes what happens, you are in a particular speed, you are very fast, suppose, and the judge does not like your speed. So it's better to know the tantrum, I mean the mannerism of the judge, so that you could tweak your mannerisms to some extent to that to align yourself with him. Communication. What is the best communication way? The best communication way is to make the other person understand what you are saying. So if what you are saying the other person is not ready to understand, it will not help you. So what happens in most of the cases so many times, that either we are unable to, not we means either the person is not able to make the judge understand what his case is, or he is not able to really tell the things in a manner that the judge may understand. Both are important. So in any case, the knowing of judge means, I just in the common parlance, when it is said that a good lawyer is one who knows the judge. So I always say a good lawyer is one who knows the judge to the extent that he knows how he's going to react, in what manner, so that he could be prepared. A lawyer is one who is equipped to lay down an argument in a manner which is which is understood by the judge. So if the judge is not understanding what you are arguing, then in that case, this argument is futile. So knowing the judge will help you in making him understand.
Thank you, sir. So if anyone have any question, please ask. Please raise their hand. Anyone have any questions? So we will finish here. So sir, please tell us
Okay.
the success mantra for our viewers.
Oh, my success mantra had been only one. There is a quote from Swami Vivekanand, which I have loved from my childhood. In my college time, when I used to sit on my desk and I used to close my eyes and read it in my mind, and that is, fill the mind with high thoughts and highest ideals, and place them day and night before you, and out of that will come a great work. Talk not about impurity, but say we are pure. Fill the mind with it day and night. I am it. I am the Lord of the universe. Never was there any delusion. So just have faith in yourself, do good, do well, and be careful in COVID time. My best wishes to all of you. Best. Good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving us opportunity to hear you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. All the best to you guys.
Same to you, sir. Be safe. Be here.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Please.